Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Punaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangaiः Stushtuvaagumsastanubhih Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuh Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravah Swasti nः Purusha Vishvavedaः Swasti nastarkshyo Arishtanemiः Swasti no Brihaspati'r Dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we'll be starting the Kaivalyopanishad. Kaivalyopanishad is from the Atharvaveda. In fact, that's why we chanted the Atharvaveda Shanti mantra also, which is the Bhadram Karnebhih. This Upanishad is one of the 108 Upanishads which are listed as in another Upanishad called Muktika Upanishad. So the Muktika Upanishad has a list of 108 Upanishads. Amongst that, the 10 Upanishads commented by Shankaracharya are also there, and then there are some more. So there are Upanishads which are not listed on this also. But generally, these 108 Upanishads are considered to be the Upanishads which people study. They have also been commented upon by one Swami called Upanishad Brahma Yogin. He is called Upanishad Brahma Yogin. And he has written a commentary on all the 108 Upanishads. Why I am saying this is Shankaracharya has not written a commentary on Kaivalya Upanishad. There is also a tradition of saying that whatever has been commented by Shankara, they are called principal Upanishads. And others are called minor Upanishads and all that. But I don't think that categorization is correct. There is nothing called principal or minor or anything. The subject matter of all the Upanishads are the same. They are teaching the same thing. The methodology used is different in different Upanishads. But that doesn't mean that one is principal or one is minor. And of course, Shankaracharya chose certain Upanishads to comment on. That may be even because those Upanishads which have been referenced in the Brahma Sutra a lot, I think Shankaracharya took all of them and commented on them. That may be the only reason, I think. Anyway, so this Kaivalya Upanishad is a very popular Upanishad. Also, there is another way of classifying these Upanishads. Like the Upanishads are classified as Shaiva Upanishad, Vaishnava Upanishad, Shakta Upanishad, Sannyasa Upanishad. Like this, there is a classification also is there. So this Upanishad is called a Shaiva Upanishad because here, if you see later on that Uma and Maheshwara, they are all talked about, and Shatarudriya is mentioned in this Upanishad in the end as a sadhana, that every day you have to chant Rudram. Such references are there in this Upanishad. So this Upanishad is classified as a Shaiva Upanishad. There are other Upanishads which are called Vaishnava Upanishads and all that. Okay, so there are Upanishads like Nrisimha Uttaratapaniya Upanishad and Purvatapaniya Upanishad and all that. So Narasimha as a deity and Narasimha mantra, sadhana, all these things are mentioned in such a Upanishad. There is a Rama based Upanishads are there. So like this, there are many Upanishads which talk about the Vaishnava mantras and all that also. So they are all classified like that. And Shakta Upanishads are there, which talks about Shakti Upasana and all that. So Upanishads in general, the word Upanishad itself we have to understand. The academicians give a very weird meaning that to go and sit near your guru is Upanishad. Upanishad means they take it as sitting, that dhatu. But Shankaracharya has not given such a meaning at all. I have not seen. Shankaracharya gives the meaning for Upanishad as Brahma Vidya. Okay, Brahma Vidya is the meaning for Upanishad. That is the meaning he gives. Then how does he arrive at that meaning? So that Shankaracharya himself explains. If you read, I think, Kathopanishad, this Sambandha Bhashya, the beginning of the Kathopanishad, or even Brihadaranyaka Upanishad beginning, and even some other Upanishads in the introduction, Shankaracharya always starts any Upanishad commentary by just giving at least hinting what is the meaning of the word Upanishad. And there he clearly says Upanishad means Brahma Vidya. And how does this meaning come means? He says Upa and Ni are there. Upani Purva. Shadla is the dhatu he takes. So Shadla, Shad is the dhatu. L is the ith letter according to Paninian grammar. So this Upa and Ni are the prefix here. So they have a certain meaning. What is the meaning? Upa means normally near. That is the meaning. That's why I think some people say you go near and sit your guru and all that. Correct. So Upa, Bhashyakara takes Upa as near. So it is about near, knowledge about what is near. And what is nearest to you means it is yourself. Okay, so the nearest to yourself cannot be anything other than yourself only. That is the nearest to oneself. So Upa actually points to yourself only. And then Ni is for Nischayena. The knowledge has to be ascertained with certain clarity. Correct? It has to be clear knowledge. And it has to be ascertained as this. So without any doubts and all that, okay, vagueness. These should not be there. So the Ni stands for that. And Shad itself, the dhatu has three meanings in which it can come. Visharana Gati Avasadanarthe, like that Bhashyakara says. Visharana Gati Avasadana. These are the three meanings. The Gati meaning is a direct meaning. Okay, Gati means get. In English also we have, correct? Do you get it means what? Or if I ask you, did you get it? Means do you understand it? Correct? Did you understand it? So the Gati again is an interesting dhatu in the sense that it can mean movement also, but it can mean knowledge. So here the Gatyartha means it is knowledge, knowledge of your own self. And that knowledge also has to be very clear knowledge. So that is the meaning of Upanishad. And the Visharana and Avasadana also has a meaning here, because Shankaracharya says the Brahma Vidya actually the Visharana means Shiryate and all that. It can mean decay and in that sense, erosion. Means your problems, the samsara itself is eroded or decayed by this knowledge, or this knowledge destroys the samsara. But not only the samsara, avasadana means you destroy something along with its root or cause also. So here the cause of one samsara is ajnanam, avidya. So along with the avidya, everything else also is destroyed by this vidya. That is the meaning of the avasadana. So Visharana, Gati, Avasadana, all these three meanings are relevant with reference to Brahma Vidya. So Brahma Vidya is the meaning of Upanishad. This is how Shankaracharya gives the meaning. In fact, at that time, somebody raises an objection. They say, okay, Upanishad is Brahma Vidya. Why are you calling the book as Upanishad then? Kaivalyopanishad is a grantha. Then Shankaracharya says, no, that's not a problem. Because the subject matter of the grantha is Brahma Vidya. Therefore, the grantha also can be called as Upanishad. So like this, he gives the meaning of Upanishad. So here, the word samsara itself, we have to understand well. Because unless we understand what is this samsara, our approach to the Vedanta may not be proper. Because why do you want to study Vedanta? Many people study many things for many reasons. I can study Vedanta as an academic for getting a PhD, correct? I don't have any other goal. I want to get a PhD. I may get a good tenured professorship or something. For that purpose, I can study Vedanta, no problem. Or I can study Vedanta because there is a certain reverence in our tradition. And even without knowing anything, I just want to come and sit in the presence of some sadhus and all that. It's punya. People just go and sit in some sadhus lecture, correct? Because it is like a satsanga and all that. But they still may not have any idea actually what is the subject matter which is being talked about. So people can study Vedanta for many reasons, but it has to be the right reason for which you have to study. Then only the Vedanta, whatever it is trying to address and whatever it can give you, if it has to give you that result, you have to go looking for that result. In fact, are you looking for whatever Vedanta is trying to give you, or you are looking for something else? So that is the first thing we have to address. So when Bhashyakara Shankaracharya, okay, we say Shankaracharya is Bhashyakara because he has written the commentary on or the Bhashyas on all the Upanishads and Brahma Sutras and Bhagavad Gita. So whenever I say Bhashyakara, it refers to Shankaracharya. Okay. So Bhashyakara says that samsara is destroyed along with its cause, root cause, by this Brahma Vidya. So what is the meaning of this? Because all these things are technical terms, correct? Brahman itself is not a word which is familiar to everybody. Brahman means what? If you take a language approach, Brihi Vriddhau is the dhatu. Brih is the dhatu from which Brahman has come. Something very big is Brahman. Because Brahman is big as a noun, not big as an adjective. Okay, big as a noun. That is a very interesting thing, because big as an adjective can have a very different meaning based on what it is qualifying. A big mosquito is very different from a big mountain, correct? So big as an adjective we all know, but Brahman is big not as an adjective. It is big in itself. It is something which is infinite, limitless. That's what is referred to in the Shastra as Brahman. And that which is big, that which is limitless, is also presented as the cause of this entire universe. Okay, Jagat Karanam Brahma. Because even in the Brahma Sutra, which is having Brahman as its subject, and it starts, the first sutra starts with Athato Brahma Jijnasa, means therefore, thereafter, there is a desire to know Brahman. Okay, that itself is, again, we can analyze that, and what is this therefore, and what thereafter means, etc. But we'll leave that aside. We'll come to that later. Then the Brahman has to be defined, correct, by the Brahma Sutra. It says Janmadhyasya Yataha. That is the sutra which actually defines or gives the definition of Brahman. So from which this whole world has come, by which it is sustained, into which it goes back, that is the Brahman. Janmadi, Adi Padat, this creation, etc. of this Jagat is happening from which cause, that is Brahman. Like this, the definition is given. So the Brahman itself is presented as Jagat Karanam, the cause of everything. It is limitless, because if it has to be the cause of all the things which is the universe, in fact, universe itself, we are not able to fathom it, in the sense that in whichever direction you go, we don't know whether we'll reach any end. Space itself is endless for us. Time also, we cannot say when it will end and all that. Time keeps on going. Space-time itself is endless for us. And scientists also, they don't know all these things. They are saying the expanding universe and all that. Okay. So then, is there a cause for all these things itself is a question. Okay, we'll come to that later. whether the world is a creation or not itself has to be established. Unless we establish the world as a creation, we cannot even talk about a creator. Because some people say that world is a creation, as though it is very self-evident. And then they argue that since it is a creation, there has to be a creator. Like if there is a pot cannot come by itself, correct? This is one argument called intelligent design and all that. There is an intelligent design argument where if I say, for example, I say I went to Swiss Alps, there was a spring from which Swiss watches were coming up. Okay. And I got this particular watch from that spring. If I say that, will you believe me? You will all look at me thinking that something has happened. In this Swiss trip, he went on some skiing and had a fall and something happened. Okay. So that is because we all instinctively know that something which is put together intelligently as per a design cannot come just like that in the nature, correct? Whatever is intelligently put together has to have a maker. Of course, it also has to have a material. So these two things are important. So we say that the watch cannot come by itself. That is fine. But even this argument, scientists do not accept that. Because then you have to establish this world is intelligently put together. And they say that that cannot be proved. In fact, one scientist wrote a book called Blind Watchmaker, because this watchmaker analogy is used by many religious people to say that God as a creator has to be there and we can establish it using inference. But inference itself is not very tight here, because they still say that you cannot conclusively prove that the world is intelligently put together. Although there is a lot of intelligence and interdependence in the world, correct? Even if you take our own human body, my heart is pumping blood. To pump blood already has to flow in the heart, correct? Then only heart can pump blood. But unless heart pumps the blood, blood will not start circulating and heart itself cannot start functioning. So how do you solve this? Means mother's blood and mother's heart is already pumping into the child, correct? That's how the whole thing starts. So whenever there is a mutually dependent system, there has to be a third independent system which has started that mutual dependence, something like that we can say. But anyway, so many people try to point out very complicated things in this creation and say that it cannot have occurred by itself. The probability of that occurring is very, very low. But even then, scientists don't accept that. They say even if it's a very low probability, still it can happen by natural selection and some kind of, they talk about all these random changes in the nature and all that. Anyway, so that's a different discussion. All I want to say is, for us, it may look like the world is a creation, but that itself is not actually accepted by everybody. But Veda is very clear. Veda comes and says world is a creation and there is a creator, that Jagat Karanam is there, and that Jagat Karanam is Brahman. And that Brahman is both the intelligent and material cause also for us. It's not just the intelligent cause alone. So that is again a very big implication is there in that statement, that cause of this entire world, Brahman being both intelligent and material cause, means world is not something like a chapati which God has made and thrown it like this. All this planet, each planet is like some kind of a ball I create and throw. No, because Bhagavan cannot be separate from the creation. The pot maker is separate from the pot, obviously. No pot maker is, if you buy a pot, the pot maker is not sitting in the pot, correct? Pot maker is separate from the pot. That is true within the creation. But if we take the entire universe and talk about a creator, that creator cannot be located somewhere because space-time also is created. Understand that there is no location for Bhagavan. Location is in Bhagavan. Bhagavan is free from space-time also because space-time also is created for us. So Bhagavan cannot be located anywhere separately from space-time. In fact, space-time itself is a manifestation of Bhagavan. That's how we look at it. Like even the entire dream world is a manifestation of your mind, correct? You are not away from your dream world. You are there everywhere in the dream world. So this world is like that only because this entire space-time also it cannot be away from Bhagavan, and that Bhagavan is manifest as this very world for us. Okay, so Bhagavan is manifest means Bhagavan is there everywhere. Each and every form, each and every name is not away from Bhagavan. It's all Bhagavan's name only for us. So that in fact comes out in our culture very well. Understand that. Ours is the only culture which has this vision, not only as a philosophical vision or something to be studied only by a few people, but this vision is permeating in each and everything we do in our culture, in our day-to-day life. And we have to appreciate that very much. This Vedantic vision is there in our day-to-day life. How? Because even if we say Namaste, Namaste is a greeting which became in fact world popular due to Corona. Everybody started doing Namaste because it's a very safe greeting, correct? You don't have to touch anybody. I don't have to transfer my germs to you. Your germs need not come to me. We are safe distance also. No touch involved, nothing. Namaste. But Namaste itself has so much meaning, correct? You bring two hands together. It can be socially, it is meaningful because it's a greeting. But then it has another meaning also saying that this hand is separate, this hand is separate. But both are one in the sense that it belongs to the same body, correct? Like that, I am different, you are different, but still I am doing namaste. Meaning is what? I salute you. I do namaskara to you, really, correct? Namaste means I am doing namaskara to you. Why should I do namaskara to you? Because I respect you as an individual. Maybe I can do namaskara, but even more than that, we are saying even though we are two different manifestations, but we are still the manifestation of the same reality. That also has to be appreciated in that, because like the two hands may be separate, but they are still one. It belongs to the one body, and these hands are functioning because of the same awareness and consciousness, correct? There is only one awareness within the body due to which these hands are functioning. So like this, our forms are all very meaningful and not, and they have the meaning of the same Vedantic vision only is coming. Or you take, for example, any of our Devata, they all represent everything. You take Dakshinamurti. Dakshinamurti is a favorite deity for our Swamiji, correct? So Dakshinamurti, how does Dakshinamurti represent everything? If we take that, now Dakshinamurti is sitting under a tree. Okay, there is a verse also, Chitram Vatataror Mole Vriddha Shishya Guru Liva. All the Shishyas are all old people. Okay. Guru is young. Dakshinamurti is a young person, Taruna. And all the Shishyas are all old people are sitting, four of them, very, very old. Means old people are, Jivas are all very old. Okay. Guru is Brahman, Brahman is always young. And Dakshinamurti form, if we take, it represents all the Panchabhutas. Okay, so we have a Panchabhuta model of creation, and everything here can be reduced to 5 elements, we say. Of course, periodic table has so many elements and all that, but our model is 5 elemental, which also makes sense because we talk about Akasha, space itself as one of the elements. In fact, our culture is the one which talked about space as being created long back. Otherwise, scientists also were thinking space is absolute and all that. It's not created for them. Only recently, like 100 years back, they started talking differently. But if you take the Shankara Bhashya, the Taittiriya Upanishad says, Tasmad etasmad atmanaha akasha sambhuta. Correct? Tasmad etasmad atmanaha. From this Atma, the Akasha came. Then Bhashyakara is writing commentary there. He says Akasha here also includes time. So he says space-time is created. It's there in the Bhashya. So we always had this idea of both space-time being relative and created and all that. So the Akasha is one of the elements in the creation. It is created for us. Even though it is very subtle, it is the first element to be created. It is the subtlest. Because Akasha cannot be divided, it cannot be really polluted, it cannot be touched. All that is there. But it is the one which gives the space to everything. Correct? Avakasha pradatra akashaha, like that we say. How do you define Akasha? Means that which gives that which accommodates everything is Akasha. Avakasha pradatra. And this Akasha itself is created. Because for us, existence is independent of space-time. Understand that. Normally, the fundamental mistake everybody has made without any vichara or analysis is, we all think I am in space-time. Correct? I am an individual possessing a particular body, mind, sense complex in space-time. As soon as you have or you have taken that for granted, everything is a problem. Because you are subjected to space-time. Means in space-time, everything is changing. Everything will die. Everything will get destroyed. Anything which is subjected to time is changing and it will get destroyed. So you become a mortal as soon as you take that for granted. But the thing is, in that vision, existence is in space-time. Correct? I exist in space-time. That is how everybody, in fact, this is not something we have arrived at by doing some analysis and all that. This is something which we are born with, I think. Correct? This is Naisargikaha, like that Bhashyakara also says. Even in the Brahma Sutra Bhashya, these kinds of notions are not created or anything, but it is there naturally. Whoever has been born and they are brought up, and you have taken certain things for granted. Avichara Siddha, we say in Sanskritam. Without any analysis, we have accepted certain things as truth. And we function based on that also. Not only function based on that, we suffer due to that. So the one of the fundamental thing which we have assumed is that I am in space-time. Now this itself has to be analyzed, correct? How did you arrive at that? Who said that you are in space-time? Because as existence, I need not be in space-time. In fact, space-time is in me. I give existence to the very space-time. That is the Vedantic teaching. Now, how do I know existence is there without space-time? Means every day in sleep you are there, correct? There was no space-time or anything in sleep. Existence can be there as it is. Existence doesn't require anything else. In fact, existence is the noun. Like I said, big is a noun for Brahman. Existence also has to be a noun for us. But we use it as an adjective, and there starts the problem. Again, these are all linguistic problems, I would say. Language itself deludes you. Because we say existent pot, existent clay, existent phone, or I am also existent human being, let us say. So existence is used as an adjective. But you cannot use existence as an adjective really, because existence is the thing which is there in each and every cognition. Existence is there invariably in every cognition, correct? Because in any cognition, pot means is there. Then you say clay means clay is there. Even you can reduce clay to molecules means is still there. The is cognition never goes away. But the names and forms keep on changing. They can change. Pot can, then you cognize something else, means table is, but is never goes away. That is called Sadbuddhi. Bhashyakara says the Sadbuddhi is the invariable in each and every cognition, and Sadbuddhi never goes. Other things come and go. So whatever comes and goes is not the truth for us. It's all only mithya, he says. And names and forms are changing, but is. I am the one who is also waking in the waking world or waker. I am the one who is the dreamer and in the dream world. I am the one who is sleeping also. We think. In fact, that Swami told beautifully that we ascribe these three states to the Atma, correct? But these states themselves are changing, correct? how can it be my nature? Then it's not intrinsic to me. If something keeps on changing, I cannot say that is intrinsic to me. Because the fundamental problem of human being is I take myself as an individual in space-time. Now, whether that individuality itself is intrinsic to you or not is something we have never analyzed. We have taken it for granted. Again, that is avichara siddha, as I told you. So, since it is avichara siddha, and I am suffering because of that, because once you take yourself as an individual, you are limited in every which way you look at yourself. You are limited. I am limited by space. I can be only in this room. I cannot be there somewhere else. I am limited by time. I am only going to live for so many years. I am limited by the pleasures which I can enjoy. Even that is also, as the age is progressing, even my sense organs are all becoming less functional, correct? So the ability for me to enjoy is going down. But everybody wants to be happy always unconditionally, correct? Because if I ask you, do you want to be happy in the morning or evening? What will you say? I want to be happy both in the morning and evening. Okay, do you want to be happy in this room or outside the room? No, I want to be happy here also. I want to be happy outside. So you all want to be happy unconditionally, correct? You don't want any conditions attached to my happiness. That's what we all want. That is the only purushartha, really speaking, that I want to be happy unconditionally, always, not limited by anything, in fact. But then that means basically you want to be the limitless. That is the underlying search for everybody. That I want to be the limitless. In fact, any limitation which I see in myself, I am not instinctively, I am not able to accept it. So that's what Pujya Swamiji used to say. The fundamental problem is one of self non-acceptance. Because in my own vision, which is of course avichara siddha, correct? Like I told, it's not something which you have arrived at with a lot of analysis or anything, but in your own vision, you are limited in whichever way you look at yourself. And that limitation itself is unacceptable to me. And therefore, I want to do something to get rid of whatever those perceived limitations are. Whatever limitations I am perceiving in myself, those limitations I want to get rid of by doing something in some way. So you do something, you achieve something. But after achieving that also, fundamentally, you have not changed. Understand that. You are still the same individual in space-time. Means you are still limited in so many hundreds of other ways, correct? You may have achieved something and think that you have solved some limitation, but even that is not permanent, because any karma phala itself is anitya. Anything you do to achieve something, that achievement itself is not going to last forever, correct? So that way also it's not going to solve your problem. And even assuming that in a particular aspect alone you have solved your limitation completely forever, etc., still there are hundreds of other things in which you are limited. So that means I can never find any solution by doing something and achieving something. Then is there any solution for my fundamental problem? Because my fundamental problem now I understand. It is one of self non-acceptance, born out of a certain self-judgment that I am limited in whichever way I look at myself. If I am able to accept myself that, okay, limitation is great, I am enjoying it. In fact, if it is your very nature, you should be able to accept it and be at rest. But the very fact that instinctively you are not even able to accept your own limitations points to something else, correct? Reality has to be something else. In fact, I want to be always happy, unconditionally happy. And that is nothing but really you want to be the limitless. You don't want shackles or limitations in any manner. Can you become the limitless then? Is there a possibility of becoming? By very definition, limitless means it should already be there, correct? Space-wise, time-wise, when we talk about Ananta, we say that we look at it in three ways. Space-wise, it has to be limitless. Time-wise, it has to be limitless. Object-wise also, it has to be limitless. Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinna. That's what we say. Aparichinnatvam with reference to Desha, Kala and Vastu. Now, Desha Aparichinnam means what? Because many theologies propose that you have to go somewhere, correct? You have to go to Golok, Vrindavan, Vaikunta, Kailasha and all that. Now, if you really want to be limitless, it has to be, spatially it has to be there right here, correct? You don't have to go anywhere. Limitless has to be there here already. Why do you want to go anywhere? Even if you go somewhere, then it cannot be really the limitless. Similarly, time-wise also, you can't say limitless, you will get only day after tomorrow. No. It should already be there right now, correct? Time-wise also, if something is limitless, means it was there, it is there, it will always be there. In fact, the limitless has to be free of space-time itself. That's why we say space-time is in you. It's the other way around. Because you are just the existence in which space-time is nothing but an appearance. It's only a adhyastha. That existence is you, and you know that every night when you go to sleep, you are there only as the existence, because there is no subject-object duality, there is no cognition of any space-time or anything. Without any of that, I am there. I am is the reality. That existence is Brahman. And it is you also. It is not Brahman being limitless cannot leave out you. Then it will become limited, correct? So why I am talking about this is, in one way, we talk, Bhashyakara says Brahma Vidya, where Brahman he introduces. But then what he says is, once you have this Brahma Vidya, your samsara is gone. That is with reference to you, correct? The Vidya is with reference to Brahman. But the solution or whatever the effect of that is what? I am no more a samsari. Because I have Brahma Vidya, means then what is the connection between Brahman and me? Upanishad is Brahma Vidya. I am studying Upanishad for having this Brahma Vidya. But the result of that study, that knowledge is what? I am free from all limitations. Because samsara is nothing but a life of becoming or a life of limitation only. Because samyak sarati iti samsara means you go from one thing to another to another. You are a good traveler. You keep on going from one thing to another because whatever you achieve as karma phala, it is always limited. It's not going to make you fully satisfied. You cannot rest. Okay, I have achieved whatever I have to. There is no more. That you cannot say with karma phala. Even if you become Indra also, Brihaspati is there, sitting on top of you. Okay. So what are you going to do? So whether here in this loka or even some other loka, whatever you may achieve, as long as you are an individual, if you look at yourself as an individual, then you have a problem. You are a samsari only. That is the Shastra Drishti. So I have to know myself as the limitless. That is the Vedanta. So the Brahma Vidya is nothing but an equation. The equation is that the individual is Jagat Karanam Brahma. Brahma Vidya itself is the subject matter of that is that only. When Bhashyakara says Brahma Vidya, Upanishad is Brahma Vidya. When Brahma Vidya is taught, what is taught is, it is not just about Brahman sitting somewhere else, correct? Brahman, which is Jagat Karanam, is you. That is the teaching. That is the Mahavakya. It's an equation. Of course, every equation has to be apparently contradictory, correct? Otherwise, I don't have to give it as an equation. Nobody gives an equation 1 equal to 1. It's useless equation, correct? At least it has to be something like 3 minus 2 equal to 4 minus 3. Means you have to arrive at the identity, then only the equation makes any sense. Here also, initially, if I say you are Brahman, you are the Jagat Karanam, if I come and say, or if I go on the road and tell somebody, they will look at me weirdly, I think, and they will deny maybe. Most probably they'll say, no, how can you say I am Jagat Karanam? I am this puny guy. I am not even able to lift this stone on the roadside. How can I be Brahman? Jagat Karanam means, of course, so you have to arrive at that identity. So arriving at that identity means it's all knowledge only again. It's all in terms of understanding. that identity has to be understood by each and every one of you, because Brahman being limitless cannot be away from me. That is very clear. But still there are many doubts whether I am in Brahman. There can be a doubt like that also, correct? What is the nature of that Brahman? What is my nature? Whether I am like a salt in water, correct? You have a salt solution. When you look at it, it looks like only one water is there. But you put it in your tongue, then only you know it is salt water. Salt also is there. But it's not visible. It is all dissolved. You cannot even see it. So are you like a salt in water? Brahman is like water. You are like salt mixed. Or are you like something? Space also is everywhere, correct? Are you like that Bhagavan is like space, but you are all like individual objects in space, which is accommodating you? Like this, many questions are there, but none of these things are proper answers for that. So the teaching is that all this names and forms which we see, all the Dvaita which we see, is all only an appearance. Okay. Dvaitam iva, yatra dvaitam iva pashyati. Like this, the Upanishad is saying. When you see as though there is Dvaita, then the problem starts. As soon as subject-object division is there, the subject is always at a disadvantage because subject is puny compared to the objective world. Objective world is always so big. But the subject-object division itself is questioned by the Shastra because it doesn't last always, correct? It is not intrinsic to me. My very individuality itself is not intrinsic to me. That's what we have to understand. In waking world, we have a certain individuality, right? I am so and so. I have done this, I have done that. We all had introduction. That is fine. But in dream, you may not have that same individuality. You may have something else. You become somebody else. Suddenly you become a deer in the forest in your dream, and a tiger is after you. You are running, desperate, running. And when the tiger actually pounces on you, you get up luckily and say, aha, it's all only a dream. In fact, it's a nightmare. So, your individuality in the dream may be different. It may not be the same. You are not the same person in the dream. In deep sleep, there is nothing. There is no individuality, but I am there. Correct? I am there, but individuality is not there. Then how can you take this individuality seriously? It's not intrinsic to you really, but you take it very seriously and suffer. Because the individuality is the curse. That is our curse, in fact. And taking it as real, we are all suffering. So the individuality, but if you analyze it, you can see that it's not intrinsic to you. It comes and goes. I am then what is my nature then? And if I analyze that, we will find that my nature is not different from the nature of Brahman itself. That's how the identity is established. And that is the teaching of the Upanishads. So Brahma Vidya teaches you that, and by that teaching, it releases you from all sorrows, all problems, because it's a beautiful thing. It shows you that you are the source of everything. You are the source of all Ananda, in fact. You are Ananda Swarupa, you are Ananta, you are the limitless. You are not a wanting person struggling here. There is nothing wanting in you. In reality, you are the limitless conscious being. You have to own it up. That's all. This is knowledge is already there. Again, it's a fact. It need not be achieved in space-time. It is already there. It has to be owned up. That's all. It's a discovery. That knowledge is covered. The reality is covered. It has to be discovered. That's all. It's a discovery. So that is the process we are starting today. We will continue that in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.